Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit how you felt about Kingdom Hearts?
It sucks.
Hello and welcome to Ware Gaming Weekly for the week of February 6th, 2019. I'm a little inebriated, and my name is Nick Ware. This is my brother from the same mother, Joshua Ware. Say hi, Josh.
Hi, Josh.
So this week we have quite a few, just actually less than normal. So if you're used to it, it's a little shorter than normal news stories today. We have Apex Legends, which is storming the internet, as well as Xbox coming to Switch, which I'm kind of excited for, and so much more. So let's just get right into it, to the who, what, and the where. And the who for this week is the Apex Legends. So I'll kick it off with GameSpot from Phil Hornshaw. So if you didn't know, there's a little company called Remedy who makes, not Remedy, Respawn.
Respawn. I was like, where are we going with this?
Respawn, who has made Titanfall 1 and 2. I'm sure they've worked on a couple Call of Duties and stuff like that. No, they're EA, so they haven't done that.
Well, now they're EA. They were bought by EA.
Oh, that's right.
So the origins of Respawn is they were a former Infinity Ward.
See, I was right the whole time. So, Respawn.
And Infinity Ward develops the Call of Duty games. So
See, yeah. Josh has got my back. So, Respawn, who has made Titanfall 1 and 2, has come out with a battle royale called Apex Legends. And Phil Hornshaw from GameSpot has the scoop for us. The leaks and rumors were true. Apex Legends, a new challenger in the Thunderdome of battle royale games, is here. Respawn Entertainment's shooter, which is free to play, is part of the developer Titanfall's universe, and while the game was just announced, it's already available to download on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. You can see it in action in the video above if you go to the GameSpot, blah, 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 blah. So Respawn teased the game on social media over the weekend following leaks that spilled some details onto the internet. The developer broadcasted a live stream to deliver the official announcement and our first look at the game. Apex Legends follows battle royale games like Fortnite and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, while making a few key changes to the formula. First, it's a wholly team-based game, with 20 teams of 3 players facing off on one huge map. Like other games in the genre, you and your squad enter Apex Legends with no weapons or items, and have to scavenge everything you need to be the last team standing. The big difference between Apex Legends and other games like it is the inclusion of characters you choose from at the beginning of the match. Each character has a different role in your squad and different special abilities, including ultimate abilities that charge up over time. You're still finding all your guns, armor, and items on the island, but you have specific capabilities you can combine with your teammates that affect your strategy. There are 8 characters or legends in the game at launch, and Respawn will be adding more over time. Respawn has also an innovative addition to Battle Royale in its ping system. With one dedicated button, you can ping locations, objects, and other players, marking them on your teammates' screens and drawing their attention to them. Ping a piece of loot, and your character will call it out and mark it for someone else, should they need it. While pinging enemies allows you to call out their location to your squad. The system is pretty robust, making it possible to communicate well with your squad without ever talking to them, which is handy for matchmaking, where not everyone might have a headset. There's more here, so make sure you go over to GameSpot and give it a click and a like. So you and I, Josh, have not been quite the Battle Royale gamers.
at all.
Would you say? See, the thing for me is that it gives me a lot of anxiety. I've tried my Fortnite. I've not tried Battle Royale, but I've tried, PUBG is what I meant to say. But Fortnite gives me so much anxiety because, just like any team deathmatch, any PvP really is just like, I suck at games, and most likely will suck at Battle Royale.
Yeah, I'm the same. I didn't try PUBG or Fortnite, but I did when H1Z1 came to PS4. I tried to hop into that.
Yeah, I tried that one as well.
And it was like, just no.
No.
I'm not very good at shooters in general or games, but at least not competitively by myself.
Sure.
I do much better in a team. because I'm a supporter.
Well, this one seems like it might be good for you then,
Yeah.
because you can squad up with other people.
Definitely, like
You have to be in squads.
like in Destiny. If I'm going to go into the Crucible, I prefer to go to a team-based match, like Control or even like Supremacy or something. But I always avoided the Rumble matches because I'm just not very good by myself.
It's been
And I like knowing I might be able to turn one way and see friends.
yeah.
I like friends.
Yeah. Back in the day when there wasn't so much battle royale going on, and like I remember Modern Warfare 3, or it was one of the Black Ops. I did a lot of free for all or one on one, which was the same thing. And part of me liked it because when I'm in team deathmatch, every time I see a person, I just want to shoot them, just because I have no idea. That's pretty much how I do with games. It's like I see a person walking on screen, and I shoot them, and they could be my team. And then I'm like, why aren't you dying? I'm like, oh, because you're on my team. Yeah. That's why you're not dying. So I liked free for all for a bit because it means I can shoot anybody, and well, usually I die, but hopefully they die. With battle royale, since I know now what's happening, all I really want to do is just run away and scream in a corner.
Yeah.
So I don't think that I'll get into Apex Legends because of, well, that reason.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of discourse on the internet, on some of the Facebook pages I'm a part of. I think you're a part of, where EA, the publishers for Titanfall, Respawn, people have been kind of questioning why they decided to release this right now, especially within 2 weeks. Anthem is supposed to be coming out, and so there's been some commentary in the past about Titanfall coming out. Titanfall 2 came out just weeks either before or after.
Before and after. So I
Battlefield 1.
Yeah, there was a Battlefield game and a Call of Duty game.
Oh, right.
Within 2 weeks, either way, of Titanfall 2, which...
Whereas they didn't have any control over Call of Duty, but they did have control over Battlefield and Titanfall. And so the argument in the past had been, why would you cannibalize your own software? And it sounds like people have been making the assumption on the internet that this is what's happening here too. I don't know that I 100% agree, because I think they're targeting different kinds of people.
Yeah, I don't think this game is gonna necessarily have any effect or be affected by Anthem. I think Anthem's gonna affect like just everything.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. But I don't know that this is going to be ultimately like killed by Anthem, because Anthem doesn't have a PvP, at least not at launch, and it's going to cater to a more story-based game. And maybe someone who's playing Anthem wants to hop out and try, a battle royale, and if Apex Legends is available, they might have that downloaded as well. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be necessarily an issue. I don't know if we have the quote from the Respawn guys, but they were talking about how instead of having this like drawn out like marketing deal where they got to try to explain what it is or try to explain the loot boxes because of EA and that kind of stuff, they're just like, let's just let the game speak for itself.
Yeah. And
put it out there and say, hey, here you go. Try it out. We think this is an incredible game, and we think you'll like it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a respectable...
and so they just shadow dropped it. It was leaked, and then boom. It was out. Yeah. And I kind of think the leaks were not leaks. I think they were planned.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like a week ago, last week...
We didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So, and now it's out.
What do you think it means for the other battle royales? And again, take this with what you will, because neither of us are invested in any of the current battle royale systems, so we don't mean to speak in some sort of authoritative way.
No.
But just looking at it from afar, what do you think it means for those other platforms?
I'm not really sure. Call of Duty people are Call of Duty people. Now, if you're someone who was kind of sitting on the fence because, like, I didn't want to pay $60 to play Blackout, of course, I almost think didn't they release that free to play and you had to...
Not yet, but I think there's discussions about it. Again, take it for the grain of salt.
and Fortnite is the biggest thing in the world right
Yeah.
now. So if it's affected, it's not gonna be much. And I don't know that these can't coexist.
Yeah.
Probably the one that's gonna hurt the most is PUBG.
Yeah.
From
feel bad for them.
everything I hear about this, it looks great. It runs great. It's more comparable to what Activision's done with the Blackout mode and Black Ops 4.
Yeah.
And
Now they did say that the Titans are not in this.
yeah,
mode.
this is in the Titanfall universe, but there are no Titans in it. It's just the Apex Legends,
whatever. That means.
whatever they are.
I mean, I played.
and it sounds like it's going to be some sort of like cross between, like it's got elements of like Overwatch where they have these heroes.
Yeah.
They were talking about, and you have different classes you could play.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds interesting. If I can find a group of people, I might hop into it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially free to play. It's got that element too. I mean, so does Fortnite. I think the problem with Fortnite for me, and we don't have to go into a diatribe about Fortnite, but the building mechanics part really, put a damper on things for me. Because there's already so much going on to have to set aside time in my brain to build something to help protect me.
To mine resources to then turn around and build.
I mean, I didn't like
and-
Minecraft for a reason, and I don't want to play a shooter that also makes me play Minecraft.
Yeah.
Which is simplifying things, of course.
Sure.
But I'm also, speaking for myself, not a very competitive person. Like, my biggest self-esteem boost was when I actually got, like, more than 2 kills in a row on Destiny's PvP mode. And I recorded that. I'm like, I'm so awesome at this. And then also I never published it because I realized half the people on the internet are better at me than this. So it is what it is. If you are interested in Apex or Fortnite or PUBG or any of those, I think it's interesting, not to, we're about to move on, but not, is that we have these like 4 now, 5 maybe? Battlefield's supposed to be bringing their own that hasn't quite released yet. Now at this point, I don't know if I'd want to be It's such a weird place right now that, at least in my lifetime, seeing a genre become a genre. Like what once was just King of the Hill, or Free for All, is now a game that you can just play that.
Yeah.
And it's making billions of dollars for Epic and for all this stuff. It's so fascinating to see. What also sucks as a hardcore, quote unquote, hardcore gamer, that I'm just not interested in at all. I don't know. It's just I like watching the story from afar.
You like what you like. I mean,
Yeah. Speaking of liking what you like, I guess, if you like PlayStation, you might have PlayStation Plus, and it turns out you're not the only one, because there's at least 36.3 million PlayStation Plus subscribers. Now, before we go into the story, a couple weeks ago we talked about how there were 91 million PlayStations out in the wild.
Yeah.
So a third of PlayStation owners have PlayStation Plus, which this is kind of the discussion before the actual news article. But so before I even read this news article, I just want to talk about this. To me, it's like I can't imagine, and maybe this is me being out of touch with how everyone else is. It's like I can't imagine having a PlayStation without having PlayStation Plus. Not because I feel like it's an obligation, but more just like half the things I do require that sort of internet online capability. Having Destiny, having whatever.
Well, probably, if I wasn't into Destiny, and if I didn't get into online playing, the only reason to have PlayStation Plus would be to get the free games.
Yeah, that's true.
And if the free games haven't been, knocking it out of the park, why am I going to pay $100 a year or whatever
That's
it
true.
is?
Now, do you know if the being online, are there online components that you can use without having PlayStation Plus?
Well, I mean, like you can still like watch Netflix and all that kind of stuff. But,
Right. Well, I guess I just mean like if I was playing a game that had leaderboards or something on that.
I think it probably depends on the game.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I think Resogun didn't require PlayStation Plus.
Oh, that's true.
And you could
Great game, by the way.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Launch game. Still really good.
I remember when we were first talking about Resogun, and it was like the first game we ever got on PlayStation 4, and we were just so mesmerized by the particles.
Yeah, the particles
you
were
had brought
amazing.
this up. We were playing, and I hadn't thought about it like that. But you were just like, "There's so many particles on screen," and
Yeah.
I was like, "What are you talking about, Josh?" And you're like, "There's so many pieces of things floating around." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're right."
Yeah,
And
it was really cool.
being a more adult gamer now, I can appreciate what that means.
Yeah.
So Sammy Barker at Push Square. Again, 3.6 million PlayStation Plus subscribers. Sony's making more revenue from PlayStation Network than Nintendo is in its entirety, which demonstrates the scale of the juggernaut that the Japanese giant has created. The juggernaut that the Japanese giant has created. Of course, a huge hunk, probably chunk, of change can be attributed to
Sammy Barker is playing with alliterations. He's just having fun with
Of course,
a huge hunk and the juggernaut that the Japanese giant has created. So
a huge hunk of of change can be attributed to PlayStation Plus, the subscription service which allows PlayStation 4 owners to download a section of free games every month and also enables them to play online. This generation, the company has been particularly good at not only retaining existing subscribers, but also expanding its audience. And as part of today's financial report, today would have been a couple days ago, it revealed that as of the 31st of December, the service had a whopping 36.3 million members. That's a record, up 2 million from the end of September of 2018. It means that around 40% of all PlayStation 4 owners are subscribed to the service. But it's perhaps worth remembering that people who've purchased multiple consoles, such as those who've upgraded to the PS4 Pro, for example, skew the attach rate somewhat. With an annual subscription costing around $50, though, you don't need an abacus to know that PS Plus is effectively a cash cow now.
I don't know that last thing he was talking about.
Yeah, it's
About the people skewing the numbers by buying a new console. I don't think that changes. You don't have to buy a new PlayStation Plus subscription when you buy
right.
it.
Whereas this is coming from two guys who have no idea going on.
I mean, we
and
upgraded from a PS4 to a PS Pro. And we didn't.
and we keep all our same data.
Yeah, we didn't add PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
Or another subscription.
Well, I guess maybe the math that they're looking at is how many PlayStation 4s have been bought. Well, you're right.
No, that would skew the number of consoles, the 91 million, whereas the number of PlayStation Plus subscribers isn't going to be affected by someone upgrading their PlayStation.
Right. But it still is interesting to think about how how many people use the service.
Sure.
But also, I still think how many people don't use the service is what really grabs me.
Sure.
I think this article and the headline is supposed to talk about how many people are using it, but to me, I kind of think of it the opposite way.
I thought it did sound kind of low, but you think about people just buy it for a game and sell it. We know a few people who just I play it for this. Oh, I sold my PlayStation because I wanted an Xbox, and then like they'll go back and forth and so or people who just buy secondhand PS4s don't have internet.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely don't mean to sound inconsiderate to people who can't use it. I just, again, it's one of those things from my position. Is like I just feel like it's almost a necessity at this point. But again, if you don't play Destiny, you don't play online, then maybe you don't.
What could I'm going back to that number. What could skew the numbers is that says a third of all PlayStation 4s are covered by PS Plus, but what number it's skewing is there are more PlayStation 4s in the wild because of people who
use PS Plus.
No, because of people who upgrade.
Oh.
So okay, I'm thinking about that differently now.
Yeah.
Because now there are more PlayStations sold, but you didn't buy another PS Plus subscription. So.
Oh. Okay.
So it's gonna
that makes more sense.
so it's gonna decrease that percentage.
Yeah.
Okay. We're working this out together.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. But we're not done yet. You want to take this next one?
Sure. I get to talk. Now this is a interesting one. Microsoft plans Xbox Live for Nintendo Switch and mobile. This is by Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer. Microsoft is readying a new level of Xbox Live support for Nintendo Switch, iOS, and Android devices. The Windows maker teased the reveal due next month at GDC 2019 via the industry event's own conference schedule. The move will see Microsoft integrate Xbox Live achievements, friends, clubs, and game history into non-Xbox and Windows PC platforms for the first time. Quote, Xbox Live is about to get much bigger, end quote. This is Microsoft's description reads. Continuing the quote, Xbox Live is expanding from 400 million gaming devices.
That's what I think it says.
400M gaming devices. That sounds like a lot. Well, I guess that counts PCs.
Yeah.
I was going to say, no. I mean, you could add up all the Xboxes, and I don't think it adds up to that number. Anyway, 400 million gaming devices and to reach over 68 million active players to over
2 billion?
Is this what the quote says?
This is what the quote says.
This is
And maybe we just misunderstand the letter after the numbers.
yeah, it's like and a reach to over 68M active players to over 2 billion devices with the release of our new cross-platform XDK.
Now, this is kind of like a preview into what's supposed to happen in GDC in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So perhaps there will be some clarification on these numbers.
Sure, and again, this is the game developers conference, so these are going to be a little bit more technical than is for
We're used
the
to.
layperson. So, so it's just significant for Microsoft to be doing something like this to branch out of their own platform onto the Nintendo Switch. That's the most surprising piece of news. I mean, not necessarily surprising that you get an app on your phone for Xbox Live. We talked about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah.
But now it's going to be even more robust, where you can do it from your Nintendo Switch.
Which, to me, like, the first thing I think about, which may not necessarily be what they're planning, but the first thing I think about is, me and Josh have talked several times about how, we don't have an Xbox, but there's certain games that we'd like to play, but we just don't have. But, like, if I could play Cuphead on my Switch, that'd be really cool. But I don't know if that's exactly what they're aiming for.
With this is just the Xbox Live, like, data. So you'd be able to open up an app on your phone, Apple, Android, or your Switch, and have all your game information. Maybe you could make purchases, just like an app on your phone. And you could have your friends list and check your achievements and things like that. And I've heard people talking about, well, what about bringing Games Pass? Is that what this is leading to? And I mean, we talked when we were predicting the cloud gaming future, having little icons on a device that has PlayStation and that would be a wonderful future, but I definitely don't think that's anytime soon. But what I'm thinking about this is, and I haven't heard anybody mention about it, is this brings your friends list over to the Switch.
Yeah.
Basically, if you're an Xbox player or Xbox Live player, you now have access to your friends list anywhere if you have a Switch. And that's going to be more important moving forward as more cross-platform games are going to be allowed. So like Fortnite, and I think Apex Legends mentioned the developers. Respawn said that you will be able to play eventually with across all the platforms.
I don't think they've mentioned. Well, have they mentioned much about Switch?
No, they didn't mention the Switch per se.
Which, I mean, doesn't mean they can't do cross-platform.
Yeah, but just to say, like, hey, I'm playing on the Switch and I'm playing Fortnite, and then I see a buddy of mine hop on Xbox and he wants to play Fortnite. We could just shoot a message.
So, based off what you're saying, to you, does it seem like more of almost like a social media app than a user face to play games?
Yeah, no, you're not going to play games on this. This is just going to be like, this is just an interface.
Okay.
For your Xbox information. So, like, you buy games, see your friends, check your achievements, that kind of stuff. And since the Switch is like friends, like your friend list and getting friends on there is just not fun. You could just bring your Xbox.
SW blank 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 blank.
Right. You can bring your Xbox list over and see all the people who are playing, and then it'll show people on Xbox that you're online, and maybe that you're on the Switch. And so like, hey, well, why don't we play a cross-platform game? Let's play
Smash
Rocket
Brothers
League.
on the Xbox One.
No, I don't think that's
No?
gonna happen.
Okay.
No, but not yet. So I think that's where this is really leading to. Maybe in the future, if Sony will play nice and Xbox just wants to get out of the hardware business. Not that I think that's where they're heading, but if that's something they wanted to do, you could have the Xbox app on anything, and they would just pay like a rental space for their app or something.
That's kind of an interesting thought, though, because for the longest time, we have, teased the idea that why doesn't Nintendo just make software?
Just make software.
But what you just said there is like, what if Xbox is the one that just makes software, or at least digital platforms and completely remove themselves from the physical space?
I feel like the moves that Microsoft has been making with the xCloud initiative, the doing this, being the first to open cross-platform play, I feel like that is kind of the direction they want to lead. They want to go into the cloud gaming service and just be on everything, play anywhere, and they really mean play anywhere.
Yeah, but I don't know that I can see them completely taking themselves out of the hardware race, just because of, what we have already heard predicted about Scarlet and whatever the Anaconda, whatever is, just because I think it's going to kind of be like iTunes. You can get iTunes on an Apple platform, or you can get it anywhere else. And Apple is still going to provide you their own.
And well, you can't get it on Android, but
You can't get iTunes on Android?
you can get it on your PC.
Okay.
Well, this isn't a PC, but you can get it on a PC.
Anyway, well, I guess my thought process is like, for some reason, at least in the current mindset, I don't think that they're gonna completely tap out
like I
of-
said earlier, I don't think this is happening now.
Sure,
this is
sure,
just
sure.
like testing the waters and getting things moving in that direction. This
Yeah.
is like turning the ship or moving an iceberg. Like it's not going to be a quick thing, but this is them making those moves to get out of the hardware business maybe and just be
save them some money in the long run.
Oh yeah.
But-
So we'll see.
Well, I think the other thing to that is I think the other reason I'm not so sure is that of the first parties that they've acquired.
Yeah.
It's like, again, I'm thinking about it literally when it's probably not as literal as I'm making it sound, but in this world where they've decided, we're just gonna step back and just make games, but not make consoles. Like all of a sudden, what does that mean for the initiative and Playground?
Then they're just a publisher. Like
Yeah.
Activision, Bethesda, EA, like they'll just become a publisher.
And then they'll just never be on PlayStation though.
Maybe they will. And then Sony will acquire them, and then no. But
Monopoly. If you're interested in the Games Developer Conference, that's a very technical thing that I don't even know that I'm really that.
I always enjoy
involved in.
GDC. There's always something interesting that comes out of it. So that GDC runs March 18th through the 22nd, and we'll keep you updated on the news that comes out of that. And I think the DICE Awards are right before then. So
Oh yeah, they're in February. So
yeah, so we'll keep you apprised of. They're going to talk more. Microsoft is at GDC. So when we find out more, we'll let you know.
all right. The last big news story today comes from Colin Stevens at IGN.com, talking about the PS5. I read the first two
Surprise.
stories, so why don't you go ahead and take this one?
So a new Sony patent has fans hoping for PS5 backwards compatibility.
Ooh.
A new patent filed by Sony suggests the next PlayStation could include backward compatibility for previous PlayStation consoles, and fans are very excited.
I'm excited.
Yes. The patent, which can be found on a bunch of information you don't need to know.
I didn't really do a really good job editing any of this today.
The patent was filed on January 20th, 2017, and published on January 31st, 2019 by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Inventors listed include PS4 lead architect Mark Cerny and principal programmer at Sony Entertainment Europe, Simon Pilgrim.
Not to be confused with Scott Pilgrim.
Not Scott Pilgrim.
And Mark Cerny, if you aren't familiar with it, there's a little game that no one likes called Knack and Knack 2, which was supposed to be kind of like a technical. It was one of those technical displays for the PlayStation 4, which is
cute,
not to Mark. This sounds like I'm trying to diss Mark Cerny, and I'm really not. It's just it was one of those good ideas turned.
I mean, he was a lead architect for the PS4, which is an incredible console.
So Mark Cerny is someone to pay attention to, despite Knack. Simon Pilgrim is the first time I've ever heard of him.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Pilgrim. It says Pilgrim's first listing on LinkedIn notes him as developing optimized cross-platform maths, animation, and geometry libraries
Must be British.
Yeah. PS3, PS Vita, and PS4 platforms.
RIP. PS Vita.
The patent details a process that could run software from legacy devices perfectly on a new device. It notes that components like a CPU may be faster in new devices, but the architecture might not match closely enough with previous hardware CPUs in order to play the older software. So to trick the legacy software to work with the new hardware, it mimics legacy devices. Diagrams, this is very technical.
Very technical.
Basically, also suggests the system spoofs processor IDs to facilitate this. I don't know that the rest of this is important. We've been talking about it. Like I said, I can't imagine a world where Sony doesn't include backwards compatibility in some fashion or another.
I imagined a world where it didn't, where it did, and I might be wrong.
Yeah, it might be wrong. This suggests that they're at least trying.
The little bit that I garnered from that mumbo jumbo of technical speak, which again, go over to Colin Stevens at IGN to look at this article and discern what you want to discern out of it. But kind of what I got was
Don't discern.
don't discerny.
Sorry.
I'm the one who's had a few drinks tonight. Come on. Was that so it sounds like, if I'm discerning it correctly, is that, does it sound like to you that I can just put in a PS3 or PS4 disc and it would read it?
That's what it says. Basically, that it's going to trick the software into. Now, I don't know if that'll be disc based. Maybe it'll read the disc. Maybe it'll just be
the data.
Yeah, but maybe it won't matter. They're saying that the hardware that they're using is going to trick the software into working, basically. So we'll see if we get confirmation of this, which we won't until they announce the PS5. We'll let you know.
Yeah.
Very fascinating, and it's still, leading to what I said, not you.
No. See, my whole stance was that we were so convinced that it would happen with the PS4, and the PS4 did so many things right, but not that.
Yeah.
And so, why does that give me any reason to believe that it'll happen for the next one?
I told you why last time.
I know. And I'll believe when I see it.
Mm-hmm. One more story.
Kingdom Hearts 3, the game that we'll be talking about for forever, is the only game worth talking about. Steve Watts at GameSpot. Kingdom Hearts 3 breaks franchise sales records. Kingdom Hearts 3 has shipped more than 5 million copies, according to Square Enix. The figure, which includes digital and physical sales, makes it the fastest selling game in the series. This is a shipped figure instead of a sold through to customers, but it's still an impressive feat for the first week on the market. So just to break that down a little bit. So what that's saying is that this is how many copies have been given to the stores, not necessarily what's been given to the customers.
Right.
So the numbers may not exactly match up. So it's a little disingenuous
not disingenuous. I mean, it's
I mean, yeah.
5 million shipped is still a lot, and it means there's a high demand for it. And we'll keep an eye on the sales going forward. Just
They
to
had sold
keep
at
you
least
updated.
one copy
Yeah.
to us. The high sales the high sales make sense given the anticipation for this third installment, which is more like the 12th installment. Kingdom Hearts 2 released more than a decade ago, so fans have been waiting a long time for the conclusion of this story. Though the time between has been filled with side stories that fill in some gaps, like Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance, the first numbered entry in so long was bound to make a splash. If you're getting ready to embark on your own journey through Disney worlds, be sure to check out our
Yeah.
blah 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 blah.
Nah, we don't need that.
Yeah, we don't need all that. So that leads us in to this week's topic,
This week's topic can be nothing
other than.
Kingdom Hearts 3.
So if you're not interested in Kingdom Hearts 3, this would probably be a good time to bounce.
Bye.
But this is again will be spoiler free.
Yeah, completely spoiler free. We're just gonna give you our top level and maybe a little like.
We talked about it a little bit last week, but we've both had a lot more time to play and have some better impressions to give you. Yeah, we will be doing a spoiler cast in the next few weeks once we've had time to finish the game. So please stay tuned to that if you are interested. But if you are someone who might just think about buying the game but aren't so sure, stay tuned because we're going to be talking about that. So Josh, you are at least maybe 2, maybe 3 hours ahead of me in the game, at least in terms of like game accomplished.
I feel like you just completed the one you were mentioned before, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, I think I'm much further than that.
Oh, really?
I feel like I'm within about 3 to 4 hours of finishing.
Oh, okay,
game.
yeah.
Maybe less than that.
Have you? Okay, before we get to my question, so think about maybe the first.
Are you in the? I mean, you're still in the second set of.
I'm in the second set of worlds.
Right.
I think I'm on the 5th world.
It's hard to talk vagaries, but
Yeah.
anyway, get on to the question.
Well, my question is, what right now, not in a spoiler-free way, what is your biggest takeaway is from the game? Are you surprised by anything? Are you not surprised by anything? How does it feel for you?
So before the game came out, I set our expectations. I said, there is no way that this game is going to be satisfactory. Said this game has been 12 years in the making. There's so much anticipation leading into this story that there's just no way they could tie it up and be completely satisfied. And I haven't finished the game, but I was wrong.
Really?
I was wrong.
So you are feeling satisfied by what's happening?
There are so many things.
And for the record, Josh has not said any of this to me. So yeah, so we made sure we saved this for this conversation. So my reactions are in real time.
So I don't want to go too much into it because if we do spoiler casts, we'll go over some of the similar points. But that's not to say it's perfect because it's not.
Sure.
But I am impressed at how I feel about the game.
Okay.
I went in pretty much feeling like I was going to be disappointed, and
You're not.
I am far from it.
So I've been listening to a lot of different commentators talk about the game, and the one thing I wanted to say, and feel free to disagree, is this: whatever this game specifically, there was this news article from video, I think it was from Kotaku, that was like, this is the unreviewable game.
Oh yeah.
But what I really wanted, like my take on it, was that this game, whatever you feel about this game, is right.
Sure.
And what I mean by that is, like, if you hate this game, you're probably right. And if you love this game, you're probably right.
Yeah.
It's I've never had a game. that like I've listened to all the criticisms of this game from the people that I listen to from whatever, and I'm like, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Like the gameplay is rooted in 2005.
Yeah.
The combat, you tap X a whole lot of times, and then you might press square triangle to change it up a little bit. And the dialogue, there's a lot of awkward silences that you don't know why. They just don't start talking. And then sometimes the characters sound like they're speaking in a vacuum.
Yeah.
And you're just like, why is this happening?
So let's start off. I wrote some notes here, kind of going over similar points. We'll start off with the negatives. Like we mentioned last week, I think the button mapping is just so disappointing. You jump with circle, you attack with X, and you dodge with square, and it's just like completely wrong.
But if you
From
move
everything-
the stick at the same time, then if you just hit square, you parry. But if
Right.
you move the stick at the same time, which I'm always moving the stick,
You're
you're just
dodge
dodging.
roll. So I never block.
I've never blocked a person.
Never block.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't change it. It tricks you into thinking you can change it because there's a menu item that says button configuration, and then you flip it, and it takes you 5 minutes to figure out what you changed, and it really doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't change anything. So that's disappointing. But once I played it for a couple hours, I was used to it. I still every now and then try to hit X to jump.
Yeah.
You jump with X, you attack with square, and you block with circle. Like that just makes sense.
Yeah.
Or go back. The circle is that. So that's annoying. I'm calling this Tutorial Simulator 2019.
Oh yeah.
Even up to the point I'm at, they're still introducing
New mechanics.
like new mechanics, and none of the things that are introducing are like, oh god, like why am I doing this? It's just like we should be into the point where I shouldn't see like this is how you do this.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just so hand-holdy, and it's only because they're introducing new types of mechanics later in the game that we didn't need this, or if you had done this earlier in the game, we could have known how to do this by now.
Right. Okay.
And so, but like until the end, so far, it's been every hour or so I get a new. Oh, if you do this, or if you do this, oh, in order to do this, you got to hit this and this and this, and it's a little frustrating. Let's see, the clunky dialogue, especially at the beginning, it's weird. In the first world, like it just sounds very exposition and dry. So, as you go on, it gets a little better, but you still feel that here and there. Some of the later levels get into the properties they want you to go to. Like these are their tentpole properties, and they treat them a lot better than
I've
like,
noticed that
Hercules. I mean, they treat him like a brick wall.
Which is so weird. Tangent. People hate on Hercules
For
so
no
much.
reason. No
But
good
Hercules
reason.
is so. I was thinking about this the other day while I was driving for work, because I have a lot of time to think about this. Because I was listening to someone talk about Hercules and how it's like Hercules is just whatever, and how somehow Hunchback of Notre Dame is better than Hercules. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Hercules is the closest you'll ever get to a perfect movie being Emperor's New Groove. Hercules has the same kind of comedic timing and the jokes that we get that Emperor's New Groove has. It was like Emperor's New Groove was just too late.
Yeah.
And Hercules was somehow too early. Like
They were only 3 years apart.
I know. And somehow Aladdin, which is earlier than all of it, was the best movie to come out.
Well, that there's no somehow about it. That was Rob Williams.
Sure.
And anyway.
I'm just saying, don't treat Hercules disrespectfully. And whatever. Continue.
I've got more to talk about, but I think I'll save it for
Spoiler.
at least my criticisms of it, because we'll rehash a lot of that. So, what do you think? Do you have anything?
I don't know that I have anything markedly different to say. Of course, I'm much earlier in the game than you are. I have had less time to play with it, but I've gotten to the point where I can make like decisions on how I feel about certain things, which is kind of what I was saying at the beginning, was that like all the things that people have problems with it, I acknowledge are there, but maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it's because I knew what I was getting into. Because Kingdom Hearts, if you've played the first two, you know, like you can just watch a trailer and know this game is going to play different.
Yeah.
Me and Josh spoke a little bit earlier this week about how, I don't know that I necessarily needed a God of War kind of revision to Kingdom Hearts. I think I would have appreciated a little bit of a difference, which they did bring. There, I think what I like the most about this game, one criticism I think is a little too easy, and I'm playing on Proud. Which
Yeah.
I'm also saying that as someone who's died a lot, and I think Josh has died way less than I have, and I still think it's easy.
I've died once on Proud, and but I feel like I'm playing on normal.
Yeah.
Like I feel like this is the normal.
Yeah.
It is very easy. I mean, like, it's tutorial simulator, so they're expecting you not to be very good at the game, or not to be used to this game. So it's really simple, and really the only reason I died is because it didn't give me a chance to heal. Like I had one like hit that was just like it took.
Was it in?
No,
Okay.
you have not. Like there was just I had almost full health, and there was not a single like frame for me to hit heal.
I don't know how you. Anyway.
The only other times I failed, there was one other time I died, but I don't count it because the thing you were doing, you literally could not heal.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
So there's like rail riding.
Yeah.
There's that, and then there's another mechanic I can't tell you about.
Okay.
That is very similar. Like it just puts you in this mode, and there's no healing until you. One of the next worlds you get to go to, there's towards the end, there's a mechanic where you're stuck, and it looks like it says like core spray. What it says is care spray, and that heals you. I didn't know this. I thought it was core spray, so I hit it as a. Eventually, I was just shooting or whatever, and then I was ignoring it because I was fighting and whatever. There's crazy stuff going on, and I didn't realize that I couldn't heal. I couldn't use my magic, and I was like, well, there's nothing to do. And then when I loaded back in, I was like, what is this? I need a better attack than just what I'm doing. So I hit that, and I was like, here's some spray, and I was like, oh, that heals you. So
Yeah.
that was one time I died that it don't count.
But if you die, you die. That's how I feel about it. Because I have to accept that for myself anyway. My negative, sort of a negative, is that it's a little too easy. But then again, I say that because I die a lot. But I also suck at games. But I can acknowledge that it's an easy game. Someone who's better at it than me, like Josh, is fine. But one thing that, I said that I didn't need like a God of War reinvention of this game. But the things that it has done that I really appreciate is differentiating the combat very well, for at least from the last two core games. I didn't play Dream Drop Distance. I played Birth by Sleep, but the flow motion of being able to just like go into anything and come out.
Yeah.
There's so many. I think what impresses me the most about the game is just like all the different things you can do. When I first heard about attractions, which is something they talked about really early on, about how you can use like a roller coaster, and I'm like, this is gonna be so dumb. Like, how can you summon a roller coaster? But it just works.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like at first I was like, I don't know about these attractions. You got the teacups and like the pirate ship, and like it just feels out of place.
Now some of them don't work as well as they should.
Yeah.
But when they work, it's like, this is perfect.
And just the way all the different keyblades, the way they like their special abilities and things that they bring to you. As you fight, you unlock an ability to change the way the keyblade works, and then that does something. And some keyblades have a second tier of a transformation, and so you're doing all that, and then you hit this attraction, and then you hop into the Buzz Lightyear thing, and you start shooting people, and then, or you hop onto the the mountain train or whatever.
I think this game has. This is a big proclamation. but I feel like its combat systems are not deep in terms of intellectual, but deep. I was gonna say they're as deep as Persona 5, but Persona 5 is intellectual deep, whereas this game is just there's just so many things you can do.
Yeah.
To
You don't.
fight
I mean, you can go there the whole game and not really
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this, but it differentiates the combat and just like in Spider-Man, you don't need the gadgets, but some gadgets make things easier, and that's the same thing with these attractions or certain keyblades. I've got a keyblade that doesn't have the best stats in every category, in both categories that it lists, but the uh, the just the way it works feels good,
Yeah.
and I like it because it helps you close distances very well, and it transforms into claws and then transforms into yo-yos.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it just helps you like it really helps close that distance because sometimes you're like I just need to get over there, and this keyblade does that. And the same thing I wrote down traversal just feels really good this time. I thought it looked a little hokey having the like glowing
Wall running.
wall running stuff, but it feels good. The dive mechanic, it almost feels really good. Sometimes it doesn't because it takes like you jump and then it goes. It takes a second to get into the swan dive or whatever, and then it changes perspective a little bit and kind of like screws with like how you're controlling it, and it feels a little weird.
Yeah.
But for the most part, everything feels really good. You feel fluid. You can feel like you can get out of situations when you need to.
Sure.
And we talked about the gameplay. It is really simple, but some encounters reminded me of like watching someone play Dark Souls, where sometimes you can't just hit X. Sometimes you have to take a step back, kind of like the old like Cloud fight or the Sephiroth fight. You have to see what he's doing and then learn to counter it
Yeah.
and see where you're going to get a break and what he's doing to actually do something and not hit like
And just spam it until.
right. And maybe switching a keyblade to a better mechanic to get in there, or using another ability, or having to actually use your fire abilities, or magic abilities. So I wrote down traversal. We got gameplay. You feel powerful because we're playing on proud mode, and which is the hard mode, and it doesn't feel hard because you got it feels like he's really good at what he does.
Yeah.
That brings me back. I didn't mention this negative. He seems a bit timid, Sora.
Sora?
Like we've done this for a while now as Sora. Like he's grown up, like at least a couple of years since this all started. Like, and it feels like he's just not sure of himself sometimes. When
Well, I mean, how many times have you been way past the time you went to school to learn all the things, to feel timid about the things that you think that you should know about?
yeah, I can't. I don't want to go too much further into it, but it just seems like you've got the answer to this.
So do you think it feels too much like we're too late in the story to you to feel like this?
Yeah, it feels like Ash, Pokemon. Sometimes, like you know what to do here. Mm-hmm. Like you need to.
You're asking the same question you asked when you were 10 years old.
Right, and you're still 10. No, but
It's
it's been
16
20
now.
years later and you're 10. No, I just feel like he should have grown up a little bit. Like I mentioned last week, I think it just needs to grow up a little bit with us and not.
Still be locked in
Yeah.
that period.
The music is great.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like I kind of mentioned last week, so far it's been really, really good at recapping what
Yeah, I was gonna ask you as someone who's gotten further into it.
they continue to do that. They recap it. They hit the threads that you need to know. If you didn't play, the old games, it really explains just what you need to know. And if you did play the old games, it helps remind you, but it kind of overdoes it if you have played or know the whole story. So it kind of overdoes it, but I think for the new players, especially like on Xbox, it does a really good job of Why are we doing this? Who is this person? How are there so many Xehanorts? And who is Xehanort? Why is Xehanort an Ansem? And why is Ansem? It does a good job of like just giving you those story beats enough to follow along.
So,
But at one point I was playing and someone asked, "What's going on?" And I said, "I don't know," because I was not expecting what happened, and I was like, "I don't really know what's going on," and so that's okay
yeah,
too.
I got to a point where it was like, I don't know what just happened, but that was incredible. And so,
Yeah.
well, what I was about to say before you rudely interrupt me, well, I guess I was interrupting you, but whatever, was that I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about how confusing the story is, but then they were talking about how in Anthem, there's a character who splits himself into three, and they talked about it like it was normal. I'm like, how dare you say that that's normal, and then come to my territory and tell me that someone's splitting themselves into three is all of a sudden super effing confusing.
Right.
Like, don't come at me with that anymore. If you're okay with Anthem doing it and not Kingdom Hearts.
Right.
So,
I mean, Kingdom Hearts story is really confusing if you let it confuse you.
I mean, if you just think about it, like it's a battle between dark and light, like every single story that's ever existed.
Well, it's about darkness, it's about light, it's about friendship, and it's about the bonds of friendship, and how that shapes Sora and his connections to other people.
Yeah, and I think that's. I mean, if we were talking about Kingdom Hearts when it first came out, having first played it and everything, that's. I mean, I think that's why it's a perfect game for Disney. To, I every time I play this game, it makes me think like, how did someone just like give Square Enix the keys to just do whatever they wanted with these characters? It's like Disney is has such a precious like hand on all the stuff they do that they're okay with this game to like all of a sudden like disrupt all the canon and do it.
Yeah, it is weird that you know, it's just really different for Disney. And what I will say,
Avengers Endgame is in this game. I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
what I will say is that Donald needs a whole lot less lines, just a whole lot less. Like Goofy is bad every now and then, like just, but
Goofy is kind of like he's
more
all the characters of pointing out the obvious.
right, but he does not talk near as much as Donald, or he doesn't annoy me as much as Donald.
I think there's some ingredients around here that you could use. I think there's some ingredients around here you could use.
Shut up.
I saw a tweet that Lulu is literally just like spaces in between. There should be some ingredients you can use around here over and over again. And I was like, you're right. Tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll save the rest for a spoiler cast.
If you even need one now, because we just keep going.
We haven't spoiled anything.
No, that's true. So keep tuned for us to do a Kingdom Hearts spoiler cast whenever we get to it, whenever we have time to finish.
Bottom line is, if you liked the Kingdom Hearts games in the past, you're gonna really like this one. If you didn't, if you've never played it, I think it's just fine to jump into this one.
Yeah.
But the first thing you do is watch the memory archives. It tells you a baseline of everything you need to know, and then as you play the game, they do as well. Explain the characters very, very well. I think.
Great. So before we go, we just want to catch you up on what you can look forward to this next week in games. So games coming out this week: Blaze Blue Central Fiction is coming out on Switch on February 7th. God Eater 3 is coming out on PS4 and PC on February 8th. Monster Energy Supercross 2 comes to all the major platforms: PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on February 8th. The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince comes out on PS4 and Switch on February 12th. And Trials Rising, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC.
I have no insights on any of these.
Yeah, I didn't look up any of these, and I don't have a Nick's pick for this week. I don't know if I actually had one for last week either.
Nick's pick this week is Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll have some more stuff. Like I can share some stuff on it. at least for the spoiler cast.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll have some more stuff to talk to you about next week. But if you're interested in any of these games, go look them up. One game that neither of us have played, but I've heard a lot about, so at least is maybe an honorable mention. We mentioned it last week. It was called Ware on Switch, and I think it's on PC as well. It's kind of a tactical turn-based RTS smorgasbord of games. I don't know where the groove comes into Wargroove, but
I don't know. Don't know anything about it except people said it's like Advance Wars, which I don't know what that is either. So
when I hear about it, it sounds like Valkyria Chronicles, which I played the demo of on Switch, which you can play the demo of on Switch, which is just like you have a battalion of troops, and you go in and start fighting each other. Now this Wargroove seems a lot more in depth.
Yeah, I mean everybody I've heard talk about it has been really into it. So
yeah, so check it out if you're interested in that kind of thing. If you're interested in more about Kingdom Hearts or want to talk about other games that aren't Kingdom Hearts, feel free to message us. You can send us an email weekly at waregaming.com. You can also tweet at us at waregaming_, or tweet at us individually. I'm speaknicklish, and
I'm at Jaws1015. You can find us on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's Ware Gaming Weekly, and you can find us on Facebook. So send us emails. Let us know what you want to talk about. If you have any questions about the news that you hear or news that we've talked about, or you have your own opinions, let us know, and we'd like to go over it with you.
We understand that we have a pretty limited scope in terms of like we like what we like, just like you like what you like, but we want to be inclusive of the things that you enjoy. If you didn't know, you can also always find us on YouTube.com. And right now, you should be able to find us on pretty much every major podcast service. We just changed up some of our podcast hosting. But if there's anything that seems weird with it, please let us know because I'll try to update it as soon as possible. Anything else that you need to share, Josh?
I don't think so. Waregaming.com.
Yeah, waregaming.com. So until next week, thank you for watching.
See ya.